Hi there, I'm the Mandalorian and welcome to Jay's Toy Collection UK. Thank you, Mando. I am Jay and welcome to Jay's Toy Collection UK, and may the 4th be with you. But don't be tricked, this is not a Star Wars video. I am dressed for May the 4th, but in this box we will not find a Star Wars figure. If this is right, this could be a world exclusive for the channel, hopefully. This is from Hasbro Pulse UK. They have shipped out early, so what's it going to be? In we go then. Knife goes in, and as we do say on the channel, hashtag flip open the flap. Now this, as I say, hopefully, it is, I can confirm, we're off to a good start, ladies and gentlemen. This is what it should be. This is the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Aunt May and Doc Ock VHS 2-pack. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to take a closer look at it. We're going to get Doc Ock undone. We're going to see if those bendy wire tentacles can actually stand him up. Will Hasbro live up to their claims? So I will see you on the next segment. Right then, we are down in front of the Marvel Legends collection to film this one, and we will start with the packaging. And as you can see down here, it has the dreaded label, plastic-free packaging. But luckily Hasbro have announced they are scrapping that, because let's be honest, it was a ridiculous concept to start with. But if you had to have a plastic-free packaging, these VHS boxes are probably the best sort of type you can get. So you do get some really nice artwork on this one, rather than dodgy figure renders that we do get on sort of normal Marvel Legends. So at the top, you've got the Spider-Man logo, of course, from the 1990s animated series, an absolute childhood favourite of mine. And there he is, Doc Ock with the bowl haircut, absolute classic. So if you grew up in the 90s, then you're going to remember this quite vividly. And there she is, Aunt May in all of her glory. So that is the front of the box, looking rather nice. Moving on to the side of the packaging there, not too much on this side, just the Spider-Man animated series logo again, and Doc Ock and Aunt May in their cartoon form. Now there's a little more on the back. You can actually see the figure renders of what we're going to get in there of Doc Ock and Aunt May. All the legalese down there, absolute load of rubbish probably written there. So that's what's in the packaging. One more side to come. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. They've screwed me over on this one. I'll explain why in a second. But here is the side of the pack that shows what the sort of VHS cassette tape would have looked like if you've seen it on the shelf. So then labelled 1 and 2, which for some reason I think they've done that for all of them in this set. I haven't got the Spider-Man and Carnage, but I think they were also 1 and 2. So you've got the Marvel Legends sort of classic logo there, representing what the VHS logo would have looked like. But where they've done me in is you can see the gap in the middle there, if I zoom in there. It's not 2 separate boxes. I was thinking this was going to be 2 separate boxes like the X-Men, but it isn't. It's one overall box, and they're both together. I'll explain now why that's going to annoy me. Right, we're deep in the heart of the Marvel Legends wardrobe display now, and as you will see, I have got a gap here where I've been putting the VHS boxes between the units, and I can only fit 3. But of course, 2 is not a multiple of 3, so that isn't going to work, because I can't put a third VHS at the side that's Spider-Man related. So it's gone and set me right off in a tizzy this has. I'm going to have to rechange my old display. Right, after a bit of rejigging, I've got them in, so I'm going to have to go the 2 Spider-Man and have X-Men next to them. So it's going to be Spidey on the left and X-Men on the right. So not quite how initially intended, but at least they're in there, and I'm making some use out of the packaging. But that's enough on the packaging. Let's get these bad boys out the box. For the second time today, then, we are going to a hashtag flip open the flap. There we are. Let's see what we got inside. What contents have they got to show us? Oh, we've got some loose tentacles. That's a start. We've got some figure trays. I hope we've got some figure trays. There's 1. And there's 2. Right, let's take a closer look. Right then, this is what you get when they're out the packaging. Of course, the figure's in their cardboard coffin. Who thought that was a good idea at Hasbro? I have no idea, but thank the Lord they're scrapping it. So you get the 4 tentacles from Doc Ock with the bendy wire for the first time since the early Toy Biz days. So I'm looking forward to trying to see what those can do. You've got your little baggies of spare hands as well. So who should we start with? I'm sure everybody's here to see Aunt May. Let's start with Aunt May. Who doesn't want to see Aunt May? And there is Aunt May in all her glory. And my God, I've actually got her to stand up. Please give me a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I have surprised myself. I even got a figure stand out just in case I would need one for the review. But she is currently standing up. So there is her front view there. We'll take a look at the rear view, and then we'll take a look at the articulation. And there's the shot of Aunt May's bottom for all the perverts out there. But that is Aunt May from the rear. So she's got the classic sort of granny hairdo, I can only describe it as. And she's in her purple skirt and a sort of blue blazer, I suppose you would describe that as, for Aunt May. So let's take a closer look at her face and let's see what she can do. Right, it's extreme close-up time then on Aunt May's face, and what a beauty. Maybe not. She looks absolutely petrified. What has Doc Ock done to her? And for some reason, I've got Doc Ock's crotch right in this shot, but we're keeping that in. That's what we're all about on this channel. Some absolutely crazy times we have with the figures. So, Aunt May's face. I'm not 100% sold on it. I don't think it kind of looks like the animated series version there that we've been sort of sold on the packaging. She's a bit too wrinkly and a bit too scared, but I'm kind of very happy to have a figure of Aunt May, so I can't complain too much. But her face sculpt does leave a little bit to be desired to me. But that is the extreme close-up shot of the face. We will now take a look at the articulation. Right then, it's articulation time. I'm famous for being absolutely crap with articulation, but we'll see what we can do. So Aunt May's head, you can get full side to side on there on the head. Can we get any back? Oh, we can't get any back. Doesn't want to go back at all. Probably the hair sculpt getting in the way there. For the back, down, yeah, we've definitely got some good. We've got some good going down, so she can look down in her poor little petrified manner. Right, arms kind of a bit stiff, so a bit stiff for old Aunt May, but she's old, of course, so her joints are probably stiffened up over the ear, but she can get a full T there from her arms. I'm assuming we are single jointed here. Let's find out. Yeah, definitely single jointed, just about 90 degrees probably there on the arm for good old Aunt May. Have we got an ab crunch? Well, even if we do, again, I'm not going to get nothing out of it from. I can't feel anything in there for Aunt May at the chest area. Her waist, she's got a swivel. Yeah, she can do a full waist swivel there on there. The skirt has no cuts in the side, so you're not going to be able to get her legs out to the side. So that's going to restrict your movement. Slit in the back, but that isn't going to do much. So let's have a look at the knee. Definitely a single joint on the knee there for Aunt May, and you probably get your rocker. Well, just look at that. You try to get the rocker, doesn't even bloody move, does it? They are very stiff these days, Hasbro figures. She's got an ankle rocker, I think, but it's definitely not going to want to move on me. And you can get your up and down on the feet there for Aunt May. So not a terrible lot of Aunt May, but I can't imagine she's going to be doing a lot of poses on your shelf. Probably getting captured by Doc Ock is going to be her main sort of thing on the shelf, or giving Peter a good telling off. And she does come with a pair of, let's get them in there quickly, a pair of fists as well. There's a pair of fists that she comes with, so she can try and fight back. So that is the articulation on Aunt May. Let's have a look at Doc Ock then, and then we'll do some comparisons, and we'll get them in the collection, and we'll see what we can do. And here is what I'm sure you all that bastard. Forever the villain, falling over on me straight away, that little bastard. So here is Dr. Octopus, Dr. Otto Octavius himself, in all his 1990s animated series glory, with, of course, that epic bowl haircut. So please do let me know in the comments who had this haircut then in the 1990s. Anybody going to admit to it? So you've got a nice bit of shading on his glasses there, which is nice. As I say, there's no real cell shading on these figures, just the colour variants this time. So there is Doc Ock from the front, and we will now have a look from the rear. Right, there he is from behind then, so you can see his glasses actually go all the way around his head, so like a band that attaches them there. You've got where you attach the tentacles on there from the side this time, which is slightly different from the other version of Doc Ock, and you've got a nice bit of sculpting there. So we can do his articulation, then of course we need to get those tentacles on. Right then, let's see what we can get out of Doc Ock before the tentacles go on, because this is a new body mold, I think, from Marvel Legends. So side to side, no problem. You haven't got the pegs, you've got the ball joint down in there, a bit like the WWE wrestling figures. Do you get a nice bit of good tiltage there on Doc Ock? Makes him look a bit like Michael Myers there. Not a lot down though, so Aunt May didn't go back and Doc Ock doesn't go down, so you do get a mix between the pair. I'm sure the arms can go up to a T. That's good God, they don't want to move, do they? They do not want to move at all. Look, it's literally pulling out of the joint there as I try to move it up on the ball peg. So we'll move it up sideways instead. See if that helps it. It does literally want to come out, so we won't push it too far. You've got double jointed elbows, but again, a lot's going to get in the way of your double jointed elbow there. As you can see, there's a lot of sculpt in the way, so you're only going to get a single joint out of it. But he is pinless. Of course, Aunt May was pinless too on the top half, but she did have the old pins in the legs there. So that's where your tentacles will go in. You've got no ab crunch on this one at all. You do have a deep sort of belly rocker there down the bottom in the abdomen. As I say, articulation, not my literal strong point. I'm quite another poser on the shelf. There's the crotch shot. Everybody does one of them. Full spin, and he's got more articulation in his legs than bloody Spider-Man, I think. There is old Doc Ock. So good movement in the legs. That's definitely a double jointed knee, and that's quite a good bit of movement there from the knee. And you've got, yeah, you've got your strong ankle pivot there as well. So some good movement, but just be careful bringing the arms up to the side. I think you might have to rotate those to get those up to the side. So that's his articulation. So now, the moment you've all been waiting for, let's get these bloody tentacles on. Right then, so you've literally got the peg holes there and the peg on the tentacle, and it just goes in. The only problem is it just automatically falls out. So what I think you're actually going to have to do is heat this up. So I'm going to go get the hairdryer, heat this up, and see if we can get them a really good push in. Right, I haven't posed them up yet, but just to show you they are in, and you do definitely need the hairdryer. Heat them up, and when you push them, you will hear the click, and they click in very solid, but they were definitely not making that clicking sound until the plastic was heated. So about 30 seconds under the hairdryer, and they will go in. So let's see what they can do. Right, I'm sure some of you are a fan of length out there, and Doc Ock, he can get some good length. So I've stretched them out, and they're nearly over 20 inches in sort of total wingspan for Doc Ock if you stretch them out. So you do get some serious length here from these little tentacles. Right, and I can confirm they told the truth on this one. Doc Ock can actually stand up on his own tentacles. Look at that. We have never been able to do that, I think, with any Doc Ock figure, and yes, you change them out for metal tentacles. So this is a seriously impressive shot. I've literally mucked around him for less than a minute now, and I've got him to stand on his tentacles. If I sort of pan back there, nice bit of panage, you can see there he is. He's standing up under his own weight on his own tentacles. There's no blue tack, there's no tape, there's no wire. There is Doc Ock. Yeah, I'm quite impressed, as you can probably imagine. Doc Ock standing up on his own tentacles. It's an action figure dream come true, ladies and gentlemen. Look at these bad boys. Right, this time Doc Ock has captured Aunt May. Poor Aunt May, she looks scared to death, captured by Dr. Octopus. So, again, there's lots of little bendy points along these tentacles. If I go over here, you can see sort of the little air holes, as I call them, in the tentacles. And there's about 4 to 5 of those across each tentacle. So you've got lots of points to actually bend, so you can get a nice full wrap around of a figure. You could go even tighter than that, but that's kind of as tight as I wanted to tie Aunt May up today. So a bit of bondage on the channel now. So yeah, you can do what you like with these tentacles. These are really good, and apparently they are interchangeable with the old Doc Ock figure. So if you've got that one, they will plug into the comic book version, and you can make a comic book Doc Ock with bendy wire tentacles. So the ends of these are slightly different. They are the small, more classic looking pincers that grab people on the end of the tentacles, as opposed to the big one on the other version of Doc Ock. So yeah, this Doc Ock figure is seriously impressive. It might be missing an ab trench, but let's be honest, who cares? This thing looks great. These tentacles are going to make a real difference to your toy displays, I think, out there. So that's the figures. So now it's time for some comparisons. So there they are side by side in the same shot. It's the comic book version of Doc Ock and the animated series version. And this new one, this puts the comic book versions to absolute shame. This is a much nicer figure in hand. So let's hope we can actually get an upgrade on comic book version of Doc Ock. Because the difference in these tentacles is just night and day. Even the size of them, these are way bigger than the versions you got on the comic book version of Doc Ock. And I can't see a lot of people wanting to buy 2 of these just to interchange the tentacles. Of course, unless you don't want the animated version, and then you could do that. But these tentacles just look like absolute junk compared to the other ones. They do have interchangeable end pieces, I believe Ryan Ting said as well, so you should be able to swap between the two. Slightly different sort of metallic shade again between the two figures. You've got your classic comic book Doc Ock head sculpt. So I still like that head sculpt, but you've got your pinned body that's kind of looking out of date now as opposed to the new pinned one. So there they are side by side. Let's see what else I can do. Right, let's try the first of a couple Spider-Man comparisons then in this scene. So that is the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man. That came out with a Spinneret version of Mary Jane, which I do know a lot of people consider their favourite version of Spidey because he is highly articulated. It's a little bit buff for me, so the one I'll be showing next is my favourite. But you can see they scale really well there. Peter much skinnier than Doc Ock, nice and muscly build on Doc Ock. good size between the two as well. So that will work well, I think, if you want to use him in your display. But here's my favourite Spider-Man added to the mix. This is the version from the even earlier animated series, the 1980s Spider-Man and his amazing friends. So I think this slightly smaller body suits Peter better, and this does scale well with Doc Ock. Now I do have the animated version of Peter they've done to go with this. Unfortunately, I have him mint on card, and I could only ever get one, so I do want to keep him on card. So I haven't actually got an animated version of Spidey from the 90s show to show in this comparison, but I think he will do nicely as a substitute there. And just for nothing but shits and giggles, let's get Wolverine in there. So that is the animated version of Wolverine. Again, the cell shading on that one that is now been taken away. So do let me know your thoughts on cell shading. I wasn't a massive fan, but I wasn't a massive hater either. So I was quite neutral when it comes to the cell shading. If anybody's wondering about the base I'm using, this is actually a Marvel wallpaper from a local DIY store on some Super 7 boxes. This is my sort of temporary setup here. But that's, you can see Wolverine in there for scale. So now we've got to get these figures in the display. And because of these tentacles, that might be quite tricky. Right then, potential homes for Doc Ock. So here he is in what is my kind of animated cube, and as you can see here, his tentacles are going to be way too big for this sort of size of cube. That's about a 13-inch IKEA Kallax single cube, but he's going to be too big for in there, so I'm going to have to rethink him. He's probably going to have to go in the wardrobe in the display. But in case you haven't seen the recent Mayflex Storm review, I did show this in the Storm review. Hashtag shilling for myself again there. People do go check that one out. But there is Doc Ock with some of his animated friends. So you've got Miles Morales and Into the Spider-Verse sort of crew there. The X-Men, the animated series stuff as well. So he ain't going to fit. Let's try moving him. So here is my classic Spidey display over in the Marvel Legends wardrobe. So he's going to have to go in here somewhere because I've got a sort of double wide cube to put him in. But there isn't a lot of room. So I think I'm going to have to move the Scorpion I've got here at the front and try and get in somewhere in that sort of section. I think is the best plan. Right, poor Scorpion's been relegated behind the Kingpin for the time being. His tail sticking out there behind Lizard. And good old Hammerhead. So, if I pan across, you will now see his new home over here. Doc Ock, having captured Aunt May, is over with J. Jonah Jameson in the corner. And because I'm on a high up shelf, I can dangle his tentacle to my heart's content up there. So he's got one tentacle. It's so long, these tentacles. One's creeping up behind Peter. We've got one over Iceman there. Aunt May's tangled up, and I've still got one dangling. So he's very impressive in hand, but he will take up a lot of shelf space. I don't know how long you'd get him standing on his tentacles. I've got one that's coming slightly loose already from the weight of itself, so might need to heat that up again and push it in a bit further. But yeah, he's pretty cool, isn't he? So there's the overall look at the Spider-Man collection. There are a few sort of more Spider-Man down there. And I did have a collapse putting the old Doc Ock back in there because he used to live at the back with Electro. I didn't want two Doc Ocks in one cube. I couldn't cope with that. So there is Aunt May and Doc Ock. Overall, a very impressive 2-pack. The only actual Marvel Legends that I've pre-ordered this year. The rest I am trying to wait for the sale. But I'm a big fan of the animated series, so I couldn't wait for these two. So they did get purchased at full price. And of course, they did come from Hasbro Pulse UK, where they are exclusive over here in the UK. And I think we just luckily got them earlier than other parts of the world, because the UK distribution hasn't been as good as it has been. This year it has gone downhill a bit, but we did manage to get this one early. And if anyone was wondering, that is where my animated Spider-Man is. I do keep him mint on card, and I do have the Venom down there. But again, I could only get one, so he is also mint on card, along with the mint on card animated Iron Man. As you can probably tell, I'm quite the fan of the animated stuff. So as I pan back for the final shot, there is the Marvel Legends wardrobe in all its glory. It does go up there. There is a full toy tour on the channel on the homepage, 80 minutes as I go through my sort of custom wardrobe that I converted into a Marvel Legends display. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So only one thing left to say. I have been Jay. This has been Jay's Toy Collection UK. Please do comment, like and subscribe, as I am on the road to 1,000 subscribers in 2023, and we're getting ever so close. So a subscribe really does help out the channel. So thank you for watching. There is the videos down the bottom, the sort of VHS video packages. That's going to irritate me, but we'll try and live with it. So thank you for watching, and as ever, I will see you all on the next video.